Okay, welcome everyone, a few newcomers, and also on Zoom a couple of newcomers. Welcome to you as well. So we wish you well, and don't fear because the Peaceful Warrior is here. And I'd like you to welcome Stuart, who's going to present the message to us today. Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, Reverend Bill. It's always an honour when I get asked to give the message, so thank you. So Reverend Bill told me the power of the month is strength. And I thought I'd talk a bit about my own journey towards understanding strength. And the daily word being the word power is very interesting too. Now I want to ask you, what is strength and power to you? Muscle, yeah? How do you view strength? That's okay. Gives us a starting point. So I sort of like to define terms generally, so I'll get into the slides here. So the power of the month is strength, and we've got 12 powers here. And what they are is that Unity 12 powers are a system of spiritual gifts that help people grow their soul and create the lives they want. And you can combine power. So you can see these are in the order of the month. So January was faith, we're now in February for strength, and next month is wisdom. And I would say strength and wisdom are certainly a powerful combination. So specifically, the power of strength, which I'm going to be talking about. So strength is the ability to endure, stay the course, and preserve. And the affirmation for strength is... Oh, what did I say? Preserve. I beg your pardon, thank you. Strength is the ability to endure, stay the course, and persevere. And the affirmation is, I have the strength to accomplish all that is mine to do. Would you say it with me, please? I have the strength to accomplish all that is mine to do. And as you can see, the month associated with strength is February, and the location of the body is the small of the back. So now we get on to the definition of strength as per the dictionary. So the meaning is, strength can refer to physical power, but it can also refer to emotional or mental resilience, the quality or state of being strong, in particular the capacity to exert force or withstand pressure. Now, of course, we're in a New Thought church here, so I definitely want to explore the metaphysical meaning of strength. And I got this from Truth Unity, which is an excellent website for information on unity. So the metaphysical meaning of strength is concisely the energy of God, which I find really powerful. Freedom from weakness, stability of character, power to withstand temptation, capacity to accomplish. Strength is physical, mental, and spiritual. All strength originates in spirit. The thought and the word spiritually expressed being the manifestation. I found this interesting too. I found a mention of strength here from Charles Fillmore. This is from a lecture called The First Consciousness of Spiritual Strength by Charles Fillmore, which he gave in the Unity Auditorium on Sunday morning, September 28, 1913. So this is over 100 years ago he said this. This is how he opened the talk. We are meant for the purpose of getting a fuller understanding of the powers latent within us. Our prayers, our meditations, and all of our words should tend to the one point in the lesson, strength. So that leads me to this peaceful warrior discussion, which seems like a contradiction in terms, but I actually found it was a paradox. So I went down a martial arts course for a while, and I'll get into why I did that. And I wasn't expecting this, but I learned a lot of spiritual truths. So anyone who's familiar with Bruce Lee would have heard him say, he says, be like water. And I had no idea what that meant at the time. I found this, I've come to understand, so in this quote from Buddha, the quote is, in the confrontation between the stream and the rock, the stream always wins. Not through strength, but through persistence. So this is a picture of In Mai. She was a nun, a Shaolin monk, and it's her style that I learned. Now, I learned a Kung Fu style called Wing Chun. And the reason I learned and went down this pathway because I had childhood trauma. I had a kind of a rough childhood, very damaging. I won't go into the details of it here, but it left me feeling disempowered and somewhat fearful. So I went down this path, and Wing Chun is a female style. It's considered a yin style, female energy. So one of the precepts is don't fight force with force. And my Sifu means teacher in Chinese. He used to say to me, if you fight fire with fire, you just create a bigger fire. And Wing Chun was a distilling of 5 styles, including Tai Chi. So if you entered this is what I learned during the training, if you entered the Shaolin Temple and you bowed with the right hand palm, left hand fist, they would direct you to Kung Fu training. And if you entered the other way around, they direct you to prayer and meditation. Now I also wondered about how did they reconcile Buddhism with fighting? So the Shaolin monks reconciled Kung Fu with their Buddhist teachings by viewing it as a tool for self-defense, personal development, and a way to cultivate mindfulness, integrating the physical practice with spiritual discipline, where the focus is not just on fighting, but on inner strength and mental awareness gained through training, essentially using Kung Fu as a path to enlightenment within the Buddhist framework. So I wasn't expecting all this. I went for training because I wanted to be able to defend myself, because I'd also been subject to some bullying. I guess a lot of people have. And I didn't know how to deal with that. So I went for training and I learnt how to defend myself. This was 20 years ago, probably 25 years ago, and I learnt a lot of spiritual lessons along the way that I just wasn't expecting at all. So I want to tell you about some of them. As you learn, I got up to level 7, there's 10 levels. As you learn, you get shown more and more techniques, and occasionally I would say to my Sifu, I could never do that to someone. I could never harm someone in that way. And he'd say to me, I'm just giving you tools. He'd say, everyone's got a line, you push them far enough and they'll fight back. He said to me, your line is further in than most people, but it's there. If you had to defend yourself or your family, I'm giving you these tools so they're there. There was also a heavy emphasis on Qi meditation, which I really liked, in the movement. Also, another thing he told me one time was, Stuart, there are times that you don't want to fight back. There was always this philosophical layer, and this part I absolutely loved. And I said, what do you mean? We're here to learn fighting. What do you mean don't fight back? He said, well, the person trying to fight you or engage you in a fight might be a drunk friend. It might be your child. It might be a parent. It might be someone who's had a misunderstanding and is being told you've done something and it's not true. And I realised, oh wow, there are times I don't want to fight back. I don't want to fight force with force. It was amazing. That was a bit of a revelation to me too. Another thing he used to tell me was, strike with force, but no anger. I had to think about that one for a long time. He was teaching me not to bring my ego in it, because at first I was like, the anger's good, right? I can get really powerful from being angry. I want to fight. And he was like, no, that'll send you down a whole path you don't want to go down. And I saw this in Star Wars too, Yoda teaching about the Force, the dark side, and I understood what he was telling me. So what happened to me was I did this training for a long time, and there's an interesting layer too, which ties into unity, which is if you're focusing on something, you can end up drawing it to you. And I'm not saying that's what happened to me, but if you're focusing on the fighting aspect of it, I think eventually you're going to draw a bad situation to you. But if you're focusing on the peaceful aspect and trying to integrate, I don't believe you will, but I'll tell you what happened. I interrupted a burglary. So I was at work and I was at a hotel I was working at a hotel in Carlton. I was walking back through the car park, the underground car park, and I could see someone like this behind a car. And I said, can I help you? And the guy stood up. He just kept going up and up and up because he was it didn't stop. And he was, I found out later, he was 6'4". And I was underground in the underground car park, and I thought, we're going to be in a fight, and if this doesn't go well, no one's going to find me because no one's here. I went running up the entrance where the cars come in, which is kind of dangerous, but I was willing to take my chances. I I went running up to the street, and I turned around to face the guy, and he knocked me out. And I was laying on the concrete. Now, in the training, they told me that if you do get knocked out and you wake up, you'll be looking up thinking, how did I get down here? Which is exactly what I experienced. For a second, I looked up. This guy was over me. I thought, how did I get down here? I'm in a fight. I quickly jumped up and got into my stance, and the guy looked at me like, the hell? Now, the seafood told me that people that don't know how to fight will just slam you with a whole lot of punches. That's what he did. Just bang, 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 bang. And this guy was much taller than me. Anyway, just in Wing Chun, there's part of the 5 styles is the crane, and the crane blocks with one wing and strikes with the other. So I'm going boom, 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 blocking all these punches. This fight's going on and on, and my punches aren't even connecting with the guy. I didn't understand why. And then after a while, we were both like this. And I thought, this is ridiculous. I ran to this is all real, this is what happened to me. I ran to the Carlton police station in Drummond Street. And someone from one of the balconies in one of the houses told me later, he chased you for a while. And I could hear his footsteps behind me. I went into the Carlton police station. I had blood here because when he hit me, all down my shirt. And what happened then was I went back to my lessons because I was going 2 or 3 times a week at that point, and I told my Sifu what had happened. I said that my strikes weren't connecting. I don't know what I did everything he told me. And he said to me, remember that last movie Bruce Lee made where he fights the really tall basketball player? I said, yeah. He said, that's there because it's really difficult to do. What was happening was you were blocking his strikes because his arms are so long, your punches weren't connecting. That's what was going on. Then the next time I went to the class, he said, as soon as he saw me, he said, I'm proud of you. I said, what do you mean? He said, I know some people at the Carlton police station. I spoke to them about what happened. They said, we send 3 officers if we have to arrest that guy. So that was a big thing for me. And part of the story is, I got to the point where I could defend myself. I didn't go into fear. I don't harbour any ill will towards that person partly because of the teachings, because he is another aspect of me. So what I wanted to tell you too was The Art of War. Okay. So there's a book called The Art of War. Now I know I almost preface this by saying some of you might have a bad attitude about Kung Fu and Wing Chun and martial arts, and because you might think, why is Stuart going to learn to fight? That wasn't my vibration. It's not my vibration today. I just wanted to defend myself. And you might think, well, the art of war. Now he's talking about war, but this book is about not fighting. It's actually very beautiful. I don't know if you've ever read it, but so the quote I've got here is: "The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting, diplomatically." It's actually really beautiful. And this book is compulsory reading at the Officers Academy. It certainly is in the United States. They all need to read this book, The Art of War. And I find that very reassuring. So they're reading a tactical book about how not to fight. And in fact, when I was learning Kung Fu, they used to talk about, I'm teaching how to not fight. And that did my head in for a while too. I was like, I'm here to learn what are you talking about? This weird paradox. It was about learning how to, because I'm really just fighting against myself, my own inner aspects. So I've got a quote from Socrates to end on. I call myself a peaceful warrior because the battles we fight are on the inside. So this whole journey I'm telling you about was me fighting and learning about my inner demons and the way I felt disempowered. So to summarise, I learned how to defend myself. I mean, I've been out of it for 20 years, but I still understand the principles. But what I learned far more was about the Buddhist philosophies, about how when I'm angry, I'm really angry at myself, and when I want to fight someone else, I'm really fighting myself. So I grew a lot from that, and I see, now that I'm further down the track, I'm here at Unity, I can see how these principles tie in with Unity as well. So thank you very much.